Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. Today is the Thursday. We're all the way in March. They say it's David's month or something like that, St. Patrick month, and also my birth month, actually, the birth month of my wife and myself as well. So therefore, we just keep it into one celebration as well. And so we're all the way in March. We're going to make it very soon to be December as time is going. And I want to thank you so much for joining, and those on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining, and those on Facebook, those on Instagram. And welcome to another evening of In Review on the SYLBOURNE Show. And we're just going to look at some of the key topics. And I always ask persons to submit or what they think would be some of the key topics of this week. And we have picked out a few. And the few is not saying that they are the most key topics, if anything, but they are, what should I say, some of the key topics as well, and that is the most important thing. And the few that I've looked at so far, and really and truly, depending on what you're listening to and where you are actually focused on, you'll pick up on different topics. And one of the key one is Brexit. Just when we thought Brexit was over, we've seen a big deal with Northern Ireland, the UK, and the president of the EU came over, and everyone is talking about that. This is a great deal. However, Boris Johnson's on the sidelines saying what's going down, and also many people from the Remainers are saying what sort of deal and what did Rishi Sunak say. We'll come back to that. And also, what are the Brexiters saying at the same time, based on some of the utterances by the Prime Minister. The other bit also is the recent, they found the body of the little girl. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say the little girl. I don't know if it's a little girl, but the baby of Constance Martin, the couple who were, the aristocrat, as they say, which is Constance Martin and Mark Gordon. They have now been charged with gross negligent manslaughter after remains of the baby were found in an area of woodland. It's very interesting that we're seeing things about babies and in woodland, or people in woodland, because of course we had the recent case of Nicola Bulley where she was found at the same time. So that is very sad. And interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, what we found out is that even in Jamaica, land of wood and water and ganja, as they say, marijuana, what they're saying is that ganja now, Jamaica has given license to ganja being imported, or marijuana being imported in Jamaica from Canada. Yeah, from Canada. Can you imagine that? And one of the big thing about this week as well is Nigeria. Many people are saying what's going on in Nigeria, but Nigeria had an election, and it was a big election, and as a result of it, it came up with a winner or a president-elect. Of course, I'm not in a position to take any sides. I'm not Nigerian, but based on what many people are saying, the youth voices are somewhat not, or wasn't effectively represented. But that is a view at the same time. But there is a president-elect, and then we'll take it from there as well. Generally speaking, it's been an eventful week, being in the park, and as I said all the while, it's very important to get into the park. It's very important to actually exercise. Very important to get engaged with yourself. I believe that is important. And amidst the motivational talk, amidst the all positive aspect of speaking, but one needs to also recognize that amidst all of that, there is this world. And this world will have things which are maybe not to your liking, maybe things which you weren't expecting. And then you're wondering, what is this portion? What is this portion for me? And many people have different portions, and they wonder, what is this portion? And yet at the same time, God is there. God is above, you know, and so many distractions. I do recall even last week when we touched on the topic last week of Dr. Shola. I don't know if anybody has anything more on that, but somehow 9-day wonder, less than a 9-day wonder, that's gone. Nothing heard about that. Nothing heard more about the little girl who actually was beaten up. Nothing more about that. So many different news, so many different things that we don't hear anything more about that after. Why is that? Why we don't hear anything more about that? Because the cycle of this world is somewhat whereby it is very, should I say, fickle. Right? It is so fickle that in a way there is no level of substance. And even when you go onto the social media sites, the TikTok and the grams or whatever like that, there's an element of fluff, element of the moment. And something you need to do is to put the videos actually in silent on TikTok, on Instagram, and you just look, and it's like the world, everybody just dancing away, passing away, and not actually even recognizing what is happening around us, because we're in a, what should I call it? A frills world. Frills, things are a bit frills. It may not be something that many persons will agree with me on, but it's something that I want us to look at in a way. I want us to consider. But anyway, good to hear your views. Good to hear what you're thinking. Those on Instagram, those on Facebook. Let's come over on the YouTube on the other side. Come over on the other side onto YouTube and Facebook. And for those on Facebook and YouTube as well, please feel free to join me. Well, I want to go first, and if Gary comes, that's no problem. But I want to go first on a very interesting thing which happened this week, and it was a Nigerian election. I won't go into the Brexit bit yet, but the Nigerian election that took place just recent days, and based on the person that you have there, you see 4 main contenders in the Nigerian election. I don't know them, but they are the 4 faces. And who seems to be the winner is the eldest one. Yes, the eldest one seems to be the winner. You can see his picture there. The eldest gentleman seemed to be the winner. One who seemed to, what should I say, have the gravitas. Right? Bola Tinubu is the president-elect of Nigeria. Yeah? Many people are thinking about Peter Obi. Yeah? Election is something of a phenomenon whereby many people somewhat want to get involved or want to get engaged, and the forces that be prevent them from getting engaged. I mean, even in Jamaica right now, people are talking about the local government elections. Many people are expecting this election to be called. This election was postponed a few times because of the COVID era. But the Prime Minister did not call it. Many people are of the view, and I've said it before and I've discussed it on different shows, that maybe it was because it was going to send a signal to the Prime Minister that, hey, the people are not with you. Maybe he couldn't handle it. But I'm always of the view that whenever there is an election, and especially one which is an election that gives you a sort of message, like a local government election is there to give you a message. a resounding message, one of failure, one of success. But even if it is of failure, I believe what it should be saying is wake up, smell the rose. If you do not shape up, you're going to be out for days, right? Out for days. And that could be what maybe the Prime Minister of Jamaica is missing. But for Nigeria, one cannot say, and one don't have my good friend Charles Jamaica, I'll have to speak to him some other time. He's been a very ardent campaigner of Peter Obi. But when you look at sometimes the leaders of this world now, and I'm going into something else, the leaders of this world, somewhat age should not be a barrier for leadership if they're able and they can think and they can carry things through. Age should not be a barrier. Youth should not be the criteria as well, the prerequisite for leadership. It is the ability to lead. And the ability to lead is not just about the frailty of the body, but the sharpness of the mind. And the question is the president-elect of Nigeria has a sharpness of mind? And will the people follow? But in all things, sometimes, many people always say that you can have a good leader, you can have a person that looks good, and that person look great as a leader, but it could be that that person is not able. Yeah. You can't hear me. Can you hear me? Are you not ready? Can you hear me? I don't know. Can you hear me, guys? Okay, maybe Gary can't hear me. Let me see if I can. It's strange. I don't know. Let me see something here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. I got you. I understand it. I thought you were saying you couldn't hear me. Oh, I got my word, man. I said, my guess is saying, shaking his hand. Yeah. So the key thing is the sharpness of the mind. And there's a scripture in the Bible. I think it's in Job, and it says it's not about the age of a man, but it's the wisdom of a man. It's the wisdom within the person. And we have been talking about this for months, even during the whole COVID period. Speak about it with O'Neill, speak about it with different guests. And it's about the quality of leaders in this world. But when you speak about the quality of leaders in this world, you can't really just criticize and just give your perspective without actually offering a solution. Because it is one thing to criticize, but it's another thing to offer a solution. When one reach into their 50s, like myself, as black don't crack, you recognize that you become what we call it elders, right? We become elders of the round table at the same time. And I do recall my good friend Raymond Treasure, principal of York Castle High School in Jamaica, where I used to go to. And Raymond said one time, he said one year, when we all became 50, because we were in this WhatsApp group, and we used to be my classmate at York Castle High School in Brownstown Center. And Raymond said, there were the days when you guys used to come to school, and then your father or those men, people used to take you to school. They were deemed to be elders. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, may I announce that you are not elders. And being called elders, everyone was reminded of the fact that they were getting up there in the age or reaching to the point whereby they know themselves. I believe when you reach to a certain point in your life, you should know yourself. You should know what you're about. And you should be focused, taking to the next level, setting the pace, setting the stage to leave your legacy for others to come along. And when you hear the word elders, you've got to recognize that you are in a prime position to actually take the mantle of leadership and to affect change or affect the changes that you want to see. The changes that you want to see is very important. And society is actually showing us that, because what we're seeing now is that everybody has a voice, which I mentioned the other day. And I do recall even a couple of days ago when I was out in the park walking and I heard the birds. And you can hear the birds each time. You can hear the parakeet, you can hear the woodpecker. But there was something very interesting about the woodpecker. I said it many times, people must be getting bored of it. What was interesting about the woodpecker is this. And somebody actually contacted me and said the woodpecker do make a noise. And I was saying, what sounds do we know the woodpecker make? Unless somebody is a very ardent twitcher, an ardent follower of the birds. What is it that you hear? And what I said I could hear was the beak of the woodpecker against the trunk of the tree and go. Rrr. So therefore, it was making a sound, a powerful sound. It was making a sound that echoes right through the sound of the woodpecker, echoing right through. And then the question that I had to ask myself, and I have to ask everyone, and to ask yourself is, what sounds do you make? Right? What sounds do you make in your spheres of influence? And the spheres of influence is there where you can influence your workplace. What sounds are you making? Your home, what sound are you making? Your walk and life, what sound are you making? Those are the key things. What are the different sounds that you are making? And for the woodpeckers, I can say, and what I heard is that there is a sound which is pronounced, a sound that echoes, and it goes on and on over and over again. You hear the sound. Now, why am I saying this when I'm supposed to be talking about Brexit and you thought it was over? You know, I'm saying this because I'm waiting for Gary, but I'm saying this because I like to sometimes share my heart and to talk on things and to somewhat engage and to hear what people have to say about these things, because I believe that in this world and in this life now, we're at a point whereby we've got to build ourselves to a level, strengthen ourselves to a level, because when we strengthen ourselves to a level and build ourselves to a level, it takes us higher and it takes us to a next level. And it's not just about positive. And as I walk and I do my walk and talk motivation moment, not about motivation and inspiration, but it's about the reality of this life, the reality of this world, the things that are out there that beckon, the things that affects, you know. And that's it there. But anyway, maybe people didn't want to hear me talk about that. But yeah. So anyway, one first thing is that the Brexit. What is very interesting about Brexit is that many people thought it was over, you know. But then what came about is that Sunak, the Prime Minister, hails a new chapter in the UK EU relation as Northern Ireland deal is finally agreed. Many people were saying that this wasn't going to be agreed. Boris Johnson and all those guys, it was so very hard, so very difficult to get this deal. You know, it was like the left was fighting against the right, the Remainers fighting against the Brexiters. Rishi Sunak, on one hand, with Boris Johnson, came straight out of the, what should I say, the Brexit, or rather the COVID, straight into the Brexit and trying to find a solution with the backstop and all of these things. But lo and behold, there we were with a solution. Many people are saying, smart guy. Rishi Sunak has hailed this as a new chapter in the UK relationship with the EU, and he secured a deal to end the long running dispute over the post Brexit Northern Ireland Protocol. Right? I don't know. I don't know what people think about Brexit. I voted Brexit. Many people voted Brexit. And many people voted not for Brexit. It was a once in a lifetime decision, as Prime Minister Cameron had said. You know? and therefore want us to live with it. But the Prime Minister said something which I'm going to play, which is very crucial. And the Prime Minister, Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the EU Commission, described it as a decisive breakthrough at a joint news conference in Windsor. After 4 months of intense negotiation, that means to say many things was happening in the background. Carefully choreographed announcement that appeared to leave hardline Brexiters more isolated. Sunak claimed changes would allow the UK to take back control. What they're saying, the agreement is written in a language of laws and treaties. But really, it's about much more than that, Sunak said. It's about stability in Northern Ireland. It's about real people and business. It's about showing that our union that has lasted for centuries can and will endure. But there's something that the Prime Minister said. They said the agreement will create a new green lane for traders, scrapping all trade restrictions between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and new freedoms for medicine, chill meats, and pets to move over the Irish Sea. It also rewrites part of the existing protocol to allow Westminster to set VAT rates in Northern Ireland. But there's something that the Prime Minister said, and it's very interesting. Sunak still faces discord from hardline Brexiters of his party amid concerns over the continued role of the EU law in Northern Ireland. Government insiders believe he can limit any rebellion to about 20 Tory MPs when the Commons is eventually given a vote, which is not expected to be this week. But the Prime Minister said something. What did the Prime Minister said? Gary, what did the Prime Minister say? How are you, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, just pull from pillar to post. But you know what? With everything that's going on, I had to join the the premiere talk show.
You have to join because we go against the grain and we don't just allow things to just flow in a certain way. But I was just touching base on the Northern Ireland deal. I don't know if you heard about that because I said Brexit is back. Well, just when we thought that it was over, no tomatoes, Brexit is back. Yeah.
Well, it was reported that Boris said he'd have difficulty voting for it, isn't it?
Well, he said he had difficulty voting for it.
Now he said he's going to have difficulty voting in favor of what Rishi has negotiated.
Yeah. Well, the good
Bearing
thing,
in mind he never had anything in the first place.
yeah. Well, the good thing for Rishi is that he doesn't even need the Tories. Unfortunately, he will get the Labour voters to back him. And some less bit of the Northern Ireland. But Rishi Sunak said something, Gary, and I'm going to play what Rishi Sunak said, and it set the stage for this brief discussion here. Rishi Sunak said something that many people actually are going to pieces about. Let me play it.
Drive growth, to drive investment, and that's one way for us to think about doing it. I think the other thing to say is, because you talked about Northern Ireland, that is the prize that is on offer. Because if we get this right, if we get this framework implemented, if we get the executive back up and running here, Northern Ireland is in the unbelievably special position, unique position in the entire world, European continent, in having privileged access, not just to the UK home market, which is enormous, 5th biggest in the world, but also the European Union single market. Nobody else has that. No one. Only you guys. Only here. And that.
What do you think about that? Lots of people talking about it. Unless you're really into it, you'll pick up what he said.
I mean, what is he saying?
What did he say? I'll play it again. This is what he said.
What is he saying? What is he?
I'm going to say it again. I'm going to play it again. Listen to it.
Then we want to invest in Northern Ireland, because nowhere else does that exist. That's like...
Where is it?
drive growth, to drive investment, and that's one way for us to think about doing it. I think the other thing to say is, because you talked about Northern Ireland, that is the prize that is on offer. Because if we get this right, if we get this framework implemented, if we get the executive back up and running here, Northern Ireland is in the unbelievably special position, unique position in the entire world, European continent, in having privileged access, not just to the UK home market, which is enormous, 5th biggest in the world, but also the European Union single market.
Okay, let's stop right there. What he's saying is that the Northern Ireland is in the best place that anyone can be. The best place. And that best place, Gary, is in the EU and in the UK. So therefore, the benefit of being access into these two areas is the best place to be. And many people, Remainers, are now actually saying, hang on a second. So now you are supporting this and you're fighting and you're taking us out of it. So that is where the Remainers are actually having a problem with it. And the Brexiters are saying, hang on a second, what did he just say? Even though Rishi Sunak defense, what he's saying is that, well, this is to deal with the anomaly there, the backstop, and to sort it out there. So therefore, there had to be a solution in some respect. And regarding the whole thing with Northern Ireland.
Is he a Remainer or is he a Brexiter?
He's a Brexiter.
But he's saying that it's the best thing to be a part of Europe and to be a part of the UK. Now, if he's if they're a part of Europe, if they're a part of Europe, and a good position, then is the way he wants the UK to be. But we're not in that position, though, are we?
You're cutting up a bit. Sorry, what did you say? Start again.
He's saying that if Ireland is a part of Europe and is a part of Europe and a part of the UK, then it would sound as if he is in support of being a part of Europe, which of course the UK is not a part of Europe. So he's not in favor. It would seem that he's not in favor of Brexit.
That's the point. It would seem that he's not in favor of Brexit. It would seem not in favor of Brexit. And now this is a big question that many people are asking, even though at the same time the Labour government is fully in support of the deal. Boris Johnson, as you rightly said, he says he's going to have a hard time supporting it. And the Democratic Union leaders said it was clear that the significant progress has been secured across a number of areas, which vindicated the DUP party long-year boycott of power sharing in protest against the protocol. And then at the same time, Scotland is actually saying, hang on a second, we didn't vote for this. Why did you bring us into this as well? So everybody's picking up on that. But somehow there's not it sounded like it was a big noise, which was made earlier, but the noise is not coming through as much. It seemed like it was a 3-day wonder, not a 9-day wonder as well.
I don't know. I think politics is rather messy these days, and I think all of that is not. You see, it's coming down to election time. Election time is very near, and what Rishi is doing, I believe, and what the Conservative Party really is doing, because if you notice, the main guns of the Conservative Party, and if there's any backbench rebellion that is there, it's not being heard. It's not being voiced. Why? Because they want to win the next election, so they are there supporting Rishi. Rishi is looking good now, believe me. Rishi at this moment is looking good because he's You can see that he's got business in mind. He's doing the work of the prime minister. He's not in the mess like what Boris is doing. That's one thing. I think we can see. Yes, he's making political statements. Yes, he is being attacked as a prime minister as all other prime ministers have been. Boris wasn't. But the more the moment Boris gets up in the morning, they have a problem with Boris. Anything Boris
Yeah.
says, they have a problem. The way how he looks and dresses, he has a problem. He's a buffoon, they said. He's an idiot. But with
So
Rishi, that's
yeah.
about Rishi.
So I want to say Rishi is a technocrat in a way, and he's actually delivering on many things which Boris wasn't able to deliver on.
Well,
Even
I
though
believe
Boris is
so.
even though Boris is actually saying the polls, or Boris is actually picking some straws at Rishi to say that the polls are worse now with Rishi.
Is that what Boris is saying?
Yeah, that's what Boris saying.
Well, no, it's not. I don't believe that.
Well,
I mean,
no, the polls have been worse since the whole thing come. Remember, it wasn't not just because of Rishi, Remember, it was of Liz coming from Liz, and that's why
well,
Labour got the bounce.
listen, Liz and Boris, or Boris and Liz. It got worse with Liz. But with Rishi,
Yeah,
you're not getting that with Rishi. Even
you
though,
mean to say it as yeah,
you're not hearing the political fallout in the way that it was with Boris and for the 3 or 4 days of trust. You weren't getting
yeah,
that. You're not getting that.
yeah.
I'm not saying that things is 100% with Rishi, but Rishi is doing what of government is doing.
Yeah. Well, the next election is due December the 17th, 2024. So that's next year. So they got 2 years in a real sense. Because the last election was December the 17th, 2019, if you remember the one when we had to deliver into Brexit. Because after that election, we went straight into the COVID period. And then Boris was happy, but never had time, as many would say, to somewhat deliver on Brexit because COVID came in and took over, and that's the thing now. So therefore, Brexit it's like finally one could say it is like finally now we're having Brexit being dealt with to a certain extent. One could actually say now we got Brexit being dealt with, finally taking off the pressure of the COVID period is not there anymore, even though you got the fallout which is happening because of the fact that there's what is it, tomato is not in the area. Why is tomato not in the area? Have you got tomato, Gary? Have you got tomato?
No, we have tomato.
Huh?
Or tomato, which one?
Oh, what is like
Tomato
planting and
or
planting?
tomato?
What is like planting and planting?
Potato, potato. Which one?
What I saying? Let them eat. Let them eat turnip because tomato shortages in UK as politics looking for answers. Some are blaming the whole war in Ukraine as well. The whole bit with tomato. I don't know what's the right word now. I'm confused now. I was at a shop earlier and I said to the person, can I get the pink top? And they said, come on, Silver, we don't say pink top, we say gizzada. Because pink top is what they call it in the UK. Pink top to a certain extent, But we watch how that unfolds, Gary, in regards to Brexit there. But listen, have you been following the election in Nigeria or heard anything about the election in Nigeria? I touched on it earlier.
Well, is the outside guy that won it?
Yeah, the most that's the
The
guy that
two.
won it. That's in there. I think yeah.
This is the guy, the younger one.
No, Bola Tinubu is the eldest chap. The other guy, which everybody was looking for, was Peter Obi, the one with the glasses in the middle there. That's what lots of people are talking about. Peter Obi.
Okay.
So therefore, age. I mean,
He was
because
the guy that did it.
I
I
can't hear properly in the Gary.
I think that you,
I
can you
guess
hear
maybe
me?
I hear you, but it's cutting up a lot. You know. You're saying what you're saying. Your,
I
your
don't
thing
know.
is
I
too,
don't know.
your thing is too powerful
No,
for
I'm
me,
just
Gary.
saying
Your thing is too powerful for me.
that man, it's far.
Yeah,
Do that.
it's freezing. Like, I think we lost Gary for a second there. Let me see, Gary. If you come back, let me see. I think we lost him for a second. Gary, lost.
Yeah, man, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, you're saying.
No, I haven't really been keeping up to date with the Ugandan or the Nigerian politics.
Yeah.
I found it a little interesting, even though I haven't really listened to it, that there were two older guys and one younger guy.
Mm.
And I was really thinking, I really thought it was the one in the third one from the left.
In
I
the
really
middle.
thought it was.
Yeah, Miss Peter Obi.
I think that's his name. Is that the third one from the left? The young
Yeah,
looking one?
the young looking one. Yes.
With the
Yeah, the young looking one. Yeah, he didn't get you. But anyway, we move on. We move on from that there. So I don't really follow Nigerian politics, but it's very interesting how the elderly guy really trumped the younger guy as much as possible, and it says a lot about politics now. Many people are saying that, well, depending on which side you're listening to, they're saying that um, it wasn't a fair election, but it all depends on which side you're listening to. If you listen to Peter Obi's side, they say it's not fair. If you're listening to the winner side, they say it's fair. And certain things weren't followed through properly. But that is what is happening with politics these days. People are hungry for power. And with hunger for power, what are they going to do with the power? Because most of these guys, when they were younger and they were in office, and it seemed like nothing really substantial happened. And we're seeing it today, whereby there seemed to be a lack of effective, strong leaders out there, which we have been talking about a lot of times. Nothing new. But and then the question is, having someone so old winning the election, you know, it says a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
But one cannot criticize anyone because of their age, because if their mind is very agile, I mean, one can say different thing for Biden. Don't know. But it's like, where are the young people? Where are they not stepping up? Or are they shut out?
I don't know if they're not stepping up or they're being shut out, but they're, well, put it this way: if once they step up, I don't think that they're really taken notice of.
Mm,
I don't think so, and because they are not being listened to, then young people won't take part.
yeah.
But I think what needs to be noticed, I mean, back in the day, and I think history will say that the leaders that are around
Mm,
always look towards the universities.
mm,
That is where that is where the inquiring minds are, and that is
yeah.
where sometimes trouble begins,
Mm,
because it is the minds in the universities, in these higher um, levels of learning, where people begin to ask questions and people begin to probe. The young men and the young women begin to probe. So I believe that there are men, there are women, there are young minds within these organizations,
Yes.
educational organizations, that are asking the questions. But the point is, are we hearing them?
Mm.
And I would want to say no. Why? Because they're being controlled. I
Mm.
believe the again, it comes down to the media and to the news outlets. They, you know it, and I think they usually call these people conspiracy theorists. Not
Yes.
everything is a conspiracy. Not everything is a conspiracy.
Yes.
But I do believe that something is going to break. I'm not talking spiritually now. I'm talking temporarily. I'm talking that
Yes.
something's going to break, and the young men and young women that's out there that have their, because look at it this way: the
Mm.
people who are in power today, doesn't matter which country you look at, doesn't matter which area you look at, what region, the people who are in power today, they were in universities yesterday, and they were the minds that caused things to be shaped as it is today. So they cannot expect the young minds of today to behave any differently. And that is why,
Or to remain constant.
yeah, and that is why a lot of these countries where dictators are, where do they aim
De-
first for? When
where did they develop that mindset? Is what you're saying?
no, where do they aim for when they want to quell dissent? Isn't it in the universities?
Yeah.
Yeah, the very same places where they were developed, because they know how powerful the young men and young women are and can be.
Mm. Mm.
And if you want to control dissent, you aim for the universities and the colleges and places of higher education.
Yeah.
So I'm saying right now that there are people, I believe, in the Oxford universities or the Cambridge or the London School of Economics, or in the Harvards, in the Yales, um, Ivy League colleges or universities around the world, not only in the Western world. We only seem to think that Yale and Harvard and Cambridge and Oxford have the best professors and doctors teaching whatever area. No,
Yeah.
you've got great universities and colleges all over God's world that
Mm.
give the same level of education, and if not even higher. But we are being brainwashed to believe that is only if you come to Yale or Harvard or
Oxford,
wherever,
Cambridge.
yeah, that you get good education. And it's not. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
No, that's very interesting in a way, and we watch all the shape of the politics go on, because just like with Jamaica, we're talking about the fact that there is no local government election, and lots of people are feeling disenfranchised, and even persons who are in the political fraternity as counselors or want to be counselors feel somewhat disenfranchised, because people are somewhat losing the appetite for politics, and the more time they feel like their voice are not heard, or they feel they've been cheated, then it is going to be less. Because, like for Jamaica, for argument's sake, it was 37% of the registered electorate that went out to vote. And I think of the 37%, I think the prime minister got maybe over 50% of those 37%. So therefore, one may have the majority in the house, but that doesn't mean to say they got the majority of the hearts of the people. And then that is something. And the question a lot is, how do these things are allowed to continue? Um, the people allow it, the opposition allow it, and then people are somewhat held in a constraint. They are held back, hell bent by leaders, not just Jamaican leaders that is out there saying that they are speaking for the people. And speaking for the people, then you ask a question, which people they are speaking for? Is it just the people that voted for them to keep themselves in power? So there's a lot of things that we're going to see unfolding with the whole political, because there's going to be election in next year, UK, the government. So there's going to be some massive shift. There's going to be some massive shift, and people will have to recognize that their power reside in them and exercising their vote. But then people always say, who do I vote for? Because if I vote for the that party is the same thing. If I vote for that party is the same thing. Gary. So there we are. Listen, did you find out about this lady here and her boyfriend? I don't know, her boyfriend who lost the baby. Another baby being found dead. Well, I should say a baby has been found dead. You know.
Is it their baby?
Well, that's why I said a baby has been found dead. And it seemed like it's theirs because they are being now charged with gross negligence, manslaughter after remains of a baby were found in an area of woodlands. They wouldn't be charged for that unless there's some evidence that it is theirs. Because what they said, the body of a newborn was found on Wednesday following a massive search operation around Brighton, looking for this baby. Um, and the lady is an aristocrat, they call it. People are
Yeah,
saying we haven't heard that anymore. Yeah, they haven't heard those terms anymore. Miss Martin,
that's what they say.
35, yeah, and Gordon, 48, are due to appear at Brighton Magistrate Court on Friday. First arrested on Monday, held in custody for questioning, after being charged by the CPS on Thursday evening. But they say it was too early to say when the infant died or establishing the sex. You know, I with my big mouth say it's a female, so I'll see how that goes because I'm always right with guessing children's sex. But it's interesting that it was right after Nicola Bully was found in the woodlands, and now this baby being found um, in the bushes. You know, so
Yeah,
look,
yeah, yeah. I
so
don't know.
so sad to hear of
We
this.
still haven't heard any.
Huh?
It is very sad. It is very sad. But it's sad that we still haven't heard anything of that young black girl that was beaten up. We haven't heard anything more about that.
Yeah, there's been a very hush silence. I'll check it out. I'll check it out as well. There's been a hush silence about her, the young girl who got beaten up. Hush silence also about the young lady we are talking about last week, Shola, Dr. Shola. Mark you,
Yeah,
Mark you. If you research, I mean, you'll find some things. But what I'm saying is that there's not this um obvious information that will come at your face. You'll have to delve for it as well. Um, but one of the things that I always talk about is that a lot of information being shared a lot, and just because it's being shared, that doesn't mean to say it is factual. And people have to test the evidence because I don't know if you noticed that there's been somebody said Dr. Scholler is all over the television. You know, now that's very interesting that he says she's all over the television. The question is, who's watching the television? Gary.
but I haven't seen her. Have you?
No, I haven't seen it, but my light speaker says she's all over the television. Has been all over the television, but I guess it all depends on what you watch because I don't watch. I don't have time to watch TV that much these days because of my work schedule, and I have to watch the TV, which their news. But I'm not seeing her at all. You know. But the interesting thing also is that there is some pictures going around which is saying that some young man has been hung, and people have been talking about it, and no one
On
actually
where?
in the UK,
Where?
but I can't tell you where, Gary, because there's no evidence. Just somebody. Let's keep going around saying that things have been going on. You know, she, she's cussing out Charles for evicting Harry and Meghan. Yeah, that's it. You see, that's the thing. That's the thing with Dr. Shola. That's why I don't really listen to her, because separate and apart from the fact that she was being, you know, harassed or so. But I don't listen to her because I can't bother with these sort of discussions. Otherwise, she's cussing out Charles and Meghan for kicking out Harry and Meghan. Listen, man, Harry and Meghan, them all right. Them have all them money to backside.
No, but no, yeah. No, but the thing about it, other people can do it.
Yeah,
She does it
yeah,
and gets threatened.
yeah,
Now, if it was a white person, sorry to say this, I mean, I'm not prejudiced, but it's just some facts that we have to put out there.
yeah.
Is that if it was white, then they would no stop would be pulled or no stop would be plugged in order to stop that investigation. They would go
I'm,
to
I'm, I think there's investigation going, but as Light Speaker just said a while ago, it's on the television. Depends if you're following it. If you're following things, even with the same black girl there, if you're following it, I'm sure you'll find information. What is that? It is not coming in your face. So as Light Speaker said, she was out there cussing out Charles for evicting Harry and Meghan. She has been all over television, all over. I don't know what Light Speaker mean by all over, because I haven't seen her. I don't know what, you know, um, as well. And or should I? Or well, he said, well, he clarified and said Instagram as well. You know, so that's the thing there. Keep talking, Gary. I'm just fixing something. Yeah, yeah,
well, I mean, I don't know, my friend. I just think that that there's always difference. There's always a difference with how things are done when it's done in relation to anything connected to the indigenous population and or to the black to the black community.
yeah.
There's always a difference. There's always and will always be an injustice. I think we just got to come to terms with that.
Mm,
I think we've got to come to terms with that. From the moment black people started coming here,
yes.
from the moment black people started to come to these shores until now, and I believe, Stillborn, for
Yeah.
as long as we are here, we're gonna have to. Some of us in well placed positions will have to step out and speak and say what the injustices are at the time it takes place.
Mm.
We're gonna have to. I was watching something on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it. It happened in Croydon. It was about the 22nd of Feb. I'm not sure if it was that particular day and time. It could have been. It could have been um, earlier on. I don't know if it was in February it happened or in January or even very late last year. But the impression that was given to me, it was done this year and at least in this month, where a young boy with two white girls, yeah, black boy with two white girls in Croydon. A traffic cop comes down towards him and he stops him because he wants to search him. I mean, what injustice is that?
Oh
Then
yes, I did saw it. I did see it. Yes. Mm.
and the young guy says, Why do you want to search me?"
Yes.
Perfectly reasonable question. Why do you want to search me? And he then takes out his handcuffs because he's saying that he's resisting, arrest or resisting to be searched. All of that foolishness, Silborn, all of
Yeah.
that should not be happening again. And
No, no.
that is why our community will always have uproar. There will always be uproar in our community our boys, just because white officers believe that they have the right to stop and search a black boy just walking with two white girls. He never, and there was a white, well, not a white, there was a female officer with him, and she never stopped the girls.
Actually, she was standing back like this and holding her hand.
Yes.
And what I picked up from her was that she wasn't in agreement with it, but she didn't want to upset the status quo at the same time. And even the person who was doing the video, I recall it now. She was saying, look at her. She's not really want to get involved because she don't agree with it. And that's the thing whereby even with the killing of Harry Nichols, and those policemen, all he needed was one person to get up and just say, no, really, stop it. But everybody somewhat feel like they have to keep silent, because silence is somewhat deemed as a consent. They say when good men don't do anything, then things go bad. So yeah, we just have to keep. I mean, the good thing about it is that you got people out there who are guards of society in a way, like that lady who was very adamant about the whole thing and keeping pressure on that. I want to go quickly on one last thing there. I don't know if I know you might not be interested in this, but say Jamaica ganja farmers outrage after license granted to import Canadian herb. I know you don't. You're not smoking anymore, herb, Gary.
No, but the thing about it, I mean, who is worse? It's like the I don't know if you heard about this American preacher that
oh yes,
is
growing
ganja.
Yeah. He said he wants to. Yeah, he said he want to grow some ganja. Forget what his name is. Say he want to have a ganja farm. Jamal something another. Yes. You gonna join him? You gonna partner with him? But listen. Kingston, Jamaica, some local ganja farmers are fuming over reports that a license has been granted to a company to import Canadian cannabis into Jamaica. And they are speaking inside the Jamaica Cannabis Industry Forum. WhatsApp group president of the Jamaica Cannabis License Association, Rear Admiral Hardley Lewin, no, that was not the guy who was in charge of the police, asked growers to figuratively holster their weapons and keep their powder dry, noting that the cannabis CLA was aware of the ire created within the local industry following the latest development. It's very interesting how Jamaica, which was supposed to be the herb and the ganja mecca of everything, is now on the back seat of this whole thing, because what they said is that ganja now and marijuana has medical positive things about it, Gary. And it is shocking that you have a situation now whereby Jamaicans should be having the first what should I say, the first input into this thing. Yeah, we're Admiral Hallett. Yeah, Lewin. Yeah, he was a police commissioner or something like that. Former police commissioner has been appealing for calm from industry stakeholders, noting that he was advised that the matter and the whole perspective of CLA would be re-examined. Shocking. Man can get work from that, Enough ganja man there, Jamaica man can make enough money off it, Gary. That's the way to go forward. But it's all interesting about leadership at the same time. So yeah. So that's the thing. I know it's just silence on the ganja thing, Gary. Well,
I leave that to you guys, man. I leave that to you guys. You know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you what?
I don't make my money already.
Don't worry. Like Speaker said, he said he saw her twice. I've seen her on TV for the second time. First the threats, then talking about Charles taking away one of Harry and Meghan. Listen, like Speaker said he saw her twice, and this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I've seen her all over the television. Like Speaker, You say you've seen her all over the television. I know your television, you only see her twice, twice in his lifetime. Anyway, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much those on Instagram, those on Facebook, and remember to like and share the show. And yeah, and for Light Speaker, you know, I like the way you sort of expound on twice, so all over, all television station, CNN and everything like that, isn't it? All right, Gary, you had a good week though, yeah?
Yeah, man, it was okay. It was okay. Just a bit busy.
Yeah.
A bit busy, but thank the Lord, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, it was a good week as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, keep having a good week as well, and God bless you as much as possible. Gary, we'll talk, okay? All right.
Okay.
Cheers, man.